This is Mr. Tybox123, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you a review of the Panasonic HDC-SD60. Now, I've been using this camera for about 3 or 4 months now. The vast majority of my YouTube videos, which you guys have kindly been watching, are been taken with this Panasonic SD60. And before I start, I've really got to say that this camcorder has been absolutely fantastic. The battery life has held out. The video quality has been absolutely superb. I've also used it in my private life and taken videos, and that's been absolutely fantastic as well. So let's just run through some of the specifications of this. It's got a 3.32 megapixel image sensor. It's got 25 by optical zoom, 35 by intelligent zoom. It's got a 2.7 inch wide LCD with 230,000 dots. It's got both auto and manual focus. It's got the power optical image stabilizer for image stabilization. It's got a flash. It's got a 5 megapixel still picture sensor, and it's capable of recording at full 1080p, so that's 1920 by 1080p. It's got a 2-channel stereo zoom microphone. It's got an inbuilt speaker, supports USB 2 and also HDMI, and it supports SD, SDHC and XDXC memory cards. Now, if you look around, you can find this for about £325. I think that's what I paid for it from John Lewis, I believe. I'm sure if you look around harder you might be able to find a better price, but that seems to be about the best one at the moment. And let's just take a little walk around the camera itself. On the back here we've got the battery pack, and then we've got a 3-way switch. We've got the playback mode, which is the furthest to the left. We've got a video record mode, which is obviously what I use mostly, and then we've got a still image mode. Now, although it's a 5 megapixel still image camera, the photographs that do come out of this are absolutely terrible. You'll probably get a lot better quality out of your smartphone, so not really something to be taking pictures with, but that really is one of the only downsides to this camera, along with just maybe 1 or 2 others. If we work our way around here to the top, we've got the zoom rocker on the top, and we've also got the button to take the still pictures. We've got the ability to change our focus from auto to manual, and also to turn on and off the image stabilization. If we open up the LCD screen here, you can see the screen itself. The screen is a nice screen, but the touch sensitivity on the screen is not fantastic. So if you're used to using your iPhone, for example, it's not going to be like that. It's not capacitive, it's resistive. So again, that's maybe one of the tiny downsides to this, but very, very easy to use once you get used to it. But you do have to make sure you press exactly on the area you want to get the right option. On the bottom of the LCD here, we've got another record button. We've got an extra zoom in and zoom out, which is quite handy when you have it flicked round for taking YouTube and you want to zoom in and out using that. We've got the menu button. We've got a light button, which engages the light on the front of the camera. And then we've also got a delete button. Let's just take a look here on the side. We've got the HDMI out, we've got USB 2 out, and then we've got the AV multi-output as well for maybe connecting it to a TV or something like that that doesn't support HDMI. We've got the on-off button here, and then underneath this flap we've got the SD memory card. Now, I'm using a 8GB class 4 15 megabytes per second SanDisk card, and this performs quite well. It says 15 megabytes per second, but I always get about 20 megabytes per second out of it, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. And then we've got a little grill here, which is the speaker for when you're using it in playback mode. The LCD itself is completely variable in the angles that you can use it, which is very handy indeed, especially for taking YouTube when you're like this the majority of the time. And the screen itself has got a very good quality to it. It's not the best screen I've ever seen, and it's not the worst screen I've ever seen, but pretty usable, in fact very usable, so they've done a good job on that. On the front of the camera here, we've got the flash at the top, we've obviously got the lens, and then we've got the stereo microphone here, and then we've got a small light which you can use for taking videos if you haven't got enough light, and it's actually reasonably good if you're quite close to the subject that you're videoing. On the handle side here we've got the grip itself, which works perfectly adequately, and then we've got this little flap here which is for the DC input for charging the device. Now, whilst we're talking about charging, it takes about an hour to fully charge the device, and that battery I found can last quite happily up to about 2 hours. And in fact, for the small YouTube videos that I make, it actually lasts for days and days and days before I actually have to charge it. So battery life is absolutely superb. You can pick up a spare one of these batteries for about £20, and then you're probably going to get about 3 or 4 hours out of 2 batteries. So done a really good job there on the battery. The device itself doesn't weigh very much at all, and it's also very compact, so it can quite easily fit in your jean pocket maybe, making it a lot more usable for those family occasions where you might just want to carry it around in case something happens that you might want to capture. One thing I will say about this on the downside is that it doesn't have a microphone input. Recently when I did the interview with Otis Dealey, I really could have done with that microphone output so as I could have a microphone and use that in a much better way, but actually the audio that came across on that video was directly captured from this and performed adequately well even in those kind of environments, so that was quite impressive. All in all, that's my review of the Panasonic HDC-SD60. I would highly recommend this camcorder to pretty much anyone, for those people who are wanting to use something relatively cheap for YouTube or for any kind of private personal videos. It's a really fantastic camcorder. The only real 3 downsides are the image quality for the stills. The LCD display in terms of the touch capabilities is not fantastic, and it doesn't have a microphone input. Other than that, battery life, video quality and everything else about this camera is really, really excellent, and I would most definitely highly recommend this camera to anybody that wants a relatively cheap camcorder. So thanks very much for watching guys, really appreciate it, and I'll see you all in the next video.